Pokémon Crystal just kept handing me better options, like a free shiny Gyarados, a perfect Ice-type counter before the hardest gym, and the legendary that's on the cover of the game. And every time I had to decide if I was just building a team or just replacing things the second something shinier showed up. Because this is the episode where I became Johto Champion, and it came down to the Pokemon I almost stopped trusting. What's crazy is that the last thing the Elite Four tells you before the champion is truly skilled trainers should try to win with their favorites. I thought that was just a cool line. And I finally understood what the game had been trying to teach me. Becoming champion didn't feel like the end. It felt like Crystal handed me a map and said, good, keep going. I walked into the stretch thinking the hard part was behind me. 6 badges, a team I finally believed in, and a checklist that was almost clear. We're getting things done around here. But Team Rocket wasn't finished with me. There was a lake, a hideout, and a radio tower still waiting. But first, let's go to the Lake of Rage, and there he is. The red Gyarados. The only shiny this game hands you, for free. So what did I do? I caught him, I just put him in a box. Because Blastoise has the water slot, and he's had it since before this game even started. I'm not benching the guy who's been there the whole time just for a shiny flex. It sounds like a small call, but it became the whole episode. And then I dropped into the Rocket Hideout. And I have to say, watching the Dragonite throw out a Hyper Beam indoors is insane. Like, we're underground in this base, and this thing is firing off one of the strongest moves in the game, like the walls aren't really right there. Hideout has these cameras sitting on a statue, and you walk into one and it causes a wave of grunts, right? I spent years just eating those fights as a kid because I just thought you had to fight every single one of them. And it turns out you can actually go down and turn them off. Okay. There's this one section right before the generator room where you fight the electrodes that I always thought was weird because you and Lance are both down there fighting Team Rocket, both clearly stuck on the same problem, and then you fight each Rocket individually. I'm like, yo, why isn't this a double battle? I felt like it should have been. Years later, I loaded up Heart Gold and it turns out the developers agreed because in that version it actually becomes one. Pokemon, give me some money, yo. Let me get some. So now with the hideout cleared, Mahogany Gym finally opened up, and we meet Pryce, the Ice Gym leader. Only problem is I have to go through this puzzle before I can even get to him. This is where Crystal started humbling me again. Puzzle ain't even hard. You just slide across the ice, find the right path, and reach the leader. Simple, right? Except I got lost. I kept sliding the wrong way, resetting myself, trying another path, messing that one up too. Eventually I cleared out the trainers and I made it to Pryce. Quilliva tried to wipe the gym by himself, and for a second it looked like he might. But Dugon kept using rest. Over and over. And every time I thought I had it, it went right back to sleep. Finally, Jolteon stepped in and together they closed it out. Glacier Badge, we got 7 down. The Team Rocket's back for trouble, so Elm calls me right after I exit the gym and now I have to go to Goldenrod. I don't even have time to sit with the badge because I have to clear out this radio tower. And now we go back to Goldenrod to finish the job for real this time. Goldenrod felt different. It honestly isn't a new city. I've been through it so many times before. But it's crazy because I thought I was done with this part of the game and now the game is sending me back to where I was, to where I spent so much of my time already. Because every time I thought 4 was the answer, it made me return back to something I'd missed. So I went to the radio tower and just started clearing out the rocket floor by floor. Wartortle was washing through them and gaining all kinds of experience going through it. The same water slide that I refused to hand to that red Gyarados. Through cleaning the place out, Wartortle finally became Blastoise. The guy who started this whole thing was back. And he wasn't just stronger now. He was becoming the Pokemon this whole episode would end up depending on. And then a little later down in the underground, Silver showed up. But his Feraligatr, I don't know, it just looked different to me now. Stronger, sure, but he carries it different too. The kid who used to treat his Pokemon like he could throw him away is starting to figure out the hard part that actually holds a team together. The thing that took me this whole run to get, he's just now bumping into it. And right after that fight, it happened. Quilliva became Typhlosion. And at the same time, he was my 100th Pokemon caught in the game. The Johto starter ended up being number 100. That is mad poetic. It didn't happen after everything was over as a cleanup. It happened in the middle of the story. Like the game reminded me, hey, the Pokédex is never the side quest. This is the main point. Typhlosion was the one I started with in Johto. Blastoise was the one I brought in from before. One proved I was still moving forward, and the other proved that I didn't have to replace what got me here. And now equipped with the Clear Bell, we get to go meet Suicune. But before I even get to Suicune, the 3 sages stop you to test you. I go up and meet the beasts, Entei, Raikou, Suicune, and I finally pin it down right around the 24-hour mark in game, give or take a minute or two. 24 hours on a game people beat in a fraction of that. But that was the whole point of this run. The slower I went, the more it gave me. Suicune is special in Crystal. I love it. But when I caught it, even the legendary went into the box. Because I just love Blastoise more. He held it down before any legendary showed up, and I'm not going to change on him now. So after we catch Suicune, we go to the ice path. And remember what I told you about Pryce's gym and how I got lost? This is the part I actually remembered. Not because I loved it, because I remember being stuck. This time around, I walked in, sure I knew what I was doing and where I was going, and I completely did not. The sliding puzzle had me turning every which way, every single time, just the same way it did when I was a kid. And I remember vividly my first playthrough on Pokemon Silver, where I got to Blackthorn with the level 80 Typhlosion because I kept fighting wild Pokemon before I could even get through the ice path. That was my first time having a level 100 Typhlosion by the time I finished the game. I didn't have a YouTube walkthrough. I don't know why I didn't think about just reading the guide and just following that along, but because I definitely had the guide. I don't know. I can't think for my 11-year-old self. The thing that used to take me weeks of being lost is something I can solve in a few minutes now if I just stop being so damn proud and ask for the map. And that honestly feels like my whole life now because I feel like I'm lost in so many different things where I just need to admit that I need help and I just don't ask for help. Instead, I just walk in circles and call it progress. Once I knew where I had to go, I started clearing out the ice path and caught Pokemon I hadn't really ever caught here, like Jinx, Sneasel, and even Delibird. And these Gen 2 sprites, I don't even remember seeing them until right now. I mean, Sneasel you do see because Silver has it, but Jinx and Delibird, I don't think you run into them that much. I kept running into Pokemon I've caught part of my childhood for over 30 years, and it felt like it was like the first time I was meeting them. So after clearing out the ice path, I get to Blackthorn, and in this gym, everybody's so damn cocky about their dragons, bro. And this was the spot where I almost broke my own rule. Remember that Jinx I caught in the ice path? That's definitely a clean answer to Clair. You know, Psychic, Ice type. Handed it right to me. I already had Ice Punch, I had Icy Wind, I could buy Blizzard, teach it all, and then have an ace that'll clear the gym for me, right? I could have trained it up, level 22, up to like 35 or something like that, and had the perfect type advantage. And I almost did. I'm not even gonna lie, I almost did. Because that's the exact move I always make. I always reach for the fresh, optimized answer, instead of trusting the thing that's already carried me this far. Then I stopped. I didn't train Jinx. Instead, I just deleted Water Gun and taught Blastoise Ice Punch. Just gave him one more job to do. Cleared out all the trainers. Get to Clair. The first Dragonair paralyzes him. He dropped low, I had to burn a Hyper Potion just to keep him going. Take care of the Dragonairs, and then Kingdra comes out and blasts 2 Hyper Beams on him. That boy stood. He had 7 HP. And somehow he still won. The same Blastoise line that got me my first badge was now closing out on my 8th. But of course, Claire's a hater, doesn't just hand it over. She makes you go down to the Dragon's Den to actually earn it. In here is where you take a quiz about Pokemon and whether you love them or not, or if they're just tools. And that says a lot about a lot of things in my life. Like, I have so many tools that I don't necessarily really take care of that I need to be using better. And I always feel like I need to buy the next best thing just because someone else is using it. You know what I'm saying? And it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I had to slow down and actually care for what I actually have versus next best thing. Long story short, I ended up getting the Dratini with extreme speed. It would be hella cool to keep it in my party, but I just put it in the box for now. With the 8th badge down and a little more room to breathe, I went out to the different areas that I still had to clear out. So I had Route 45, the Dark Cave, and just catching stuff I've walked past every other time I've played this. I legit thought Skarmory was a Gen 3 Pokemon for the longest time because you don't run into Skarmory in Gen 2 at all. Skarmory is a 5% encounter in Route 45 in the morning and midday. Phanpy is another 5% encounter early morning. And as I'm looking for Phanpy, I run into 8 Skarmorys. I definitely know where Skarmory is now. I want to be honest about the real reason this run looks the way that it does. I know it's kind of chaotic and I'm sorry. There's a thing that I do, especially when I don't know what I'm doing. I freeze, causes me to scroll, and I numb out just enough to not feel the pressure of making something I'm not sure will work. And I keep doing that until a deadline is close enough to scare me hello ADHD, and then I call the rush thing finished. And that's how I've played Pokemon for the last 20 some years, and that's just how I handle this whole content thing too. I just chase what works, move fast, and call that progress. And then I wonder why none of it feels rooted. People love to complain that Johto has the worst level curve in the entire series. Your team is always under leveled and the gym leaders just spike out of nowhere. Now, they're not wrong about the numbers, but the more I dug into it, the more it looked backwards to me. And as you guys saw in the last video, I noticed that too by taking it slower. The level gap isn't that the game is broken, it's the game telling you to slow down, to go back to the routes, caves, and events you've missed and actually experience them, because that's where the levels are. You don't out-level Johto by running forward, catching all of the badges, legendaries, and just getting through the game. You earn it by going back for the parts you blew past, by connecting with the people that ask for your phone number and battling them and catching the different Pokemon like that. This whole region is built to punish the exact thing I do, running ahead and calling it progress. On top of that is telling you to win with your favorites, not just the team that looks better on paper. Man, this game, I don't think is an accident. This game is just my therapy right now. And the wildest part is I almost gave all of this up, because for years I thought I had to grow out of Pokemon the second I got a 401k and a cubicle, and that the color was supposed to drain out of my life, but it was actually the opposite. The stuff I was the quickest to throw away is the exact thing keeping me present now. And I only noticed that in the game and in my life because I finally slowed down enough to receive it. Now, after the victory road and the battle with Silver, we get to the Elite Four. I walked into the league under-leveled with the team that survived Johto. I walked in anyways, yo, we ain't scared. But I did grab what I could on the way in. I got a magnet for Jolteon, a spell tag for Gengar, and a couple of other items to help me make it through the Elite Four and Champion. With Will going first, the team holds. Koga is all status and stalling, and there was a moment my Typhlosion got poisoned, and I was not ready to lose him, but he held. Bruno, the team holds. And then Karen, she says it. The line about favorites: Typhlosion, Crobat, Gengar, Jolteon, Scizor, and Blastoise. Not the strongest possible 6, just my 6. And here's the thing about Blastoise's whole run. He didn't come out until Karen's Houndoom. I legit held him back the entire league because he was never the carry, he was the closer. And then Lance, 3 dragons, a Charizard, an Aerodactyl, all sitting above my level. Nobody worried about Gyarados. And Blastoise comes in against the strongest Dragonite and misses the Blizzard. The one move that was supposed to make this safe, and that should have been the moment it all fell apart. One free turn for a Dragonite punching above my whole team, but it wastes that turn setting up a safeguard instead of throwing up the Hyper Beam. He takes all 3 Dragonites, then Charizard came out, fired off the classic Hyper Beam. Blastoise still answered. By the time Aerodactyl came out, he was running on fumes. And that's the one that finally dropped him. The team finished the last of it. Blastoise just didn't land the final hit. He didn't need to. He's the reason I got here. I'm a champion now, so for a second I just sat there. I'd been chasing this feeling the whole game. Maybe longer than that. But the thing I kept thinking about wasn't Lance. It was the first gym. Squirtle won me the first badge, and Blastoise finished Johto. The same Pokemon, the same line. I just took the long way getting here. After the credits, I woke up back in New Bark Town, and the professor gives me the ticket for the SS Aqua to go to Kanto. That's what the game reminded me what this whole episode had been about. Not just winning, not just badges. Every place in it put me somewhere I didn't know the way forward. Mahogany's Ice, the Ice Path, Blackthorn, the League, and even Lance. And every time the answer wasn't a new one. It was slowing down and using what I already had. Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself. A guide, a team, and a Pokemon I refuse to replace. It hit different when Crobat flew me across Johto one last time. It signified every place I got lost or rushed through was on this map now and checked off. And the Pokemon that only evolved because I stayed with her was the one carrying me through all of it. Growth doesn't feel like a finale. It feels like the thing you just finished was only training for the next thing you're being asked to walk into. I came to Johto to catch them all. I left this champion with the team I refuse to replace. But the Pokédex still has gaps that I'll be able to fill in Kanto across the water. Red is out there waiting for me, but I'm not ready to go there yet. That wasn't the end. Johto made me champion, and Kanto is going to find out if I can finish. Again. I'll see you at the next gym.